Hello, ladies. Welcome to day 3 of 10 days of pause. Today, we are going to be talking about balance versus alignment. And our pause today is going to be the pause of stillness. So before we dive into that, I want to welcome you. If this is your first day with us, hey, welcome. Glad you've joined us. You definitely want to go back and watch day 1 and day 2, where day 1, we were getting our minds right for why we even need to be in the pause, why we need to take pauses. Day 2, we talked about margins in our lives, right? Living life without margins equals no rest. And that burns us out. And we have got to shift away from that. That was day 2. And I believe day 1 or 2, I mentioned something about balance and alignment. And I told y'all that I have an issue with the word balance. So let's talk about it. A lot of times people say, I'm looking for balance. They'll come to me as a coach. I get a lot of, I need some work-life balance. And in theory, I understand that, right? I absolutely understand the idea of wanting things to be balanced in your life. But I want us to really look at this with a critical mind. One, because words are so important. The actual meaning of words, not what we believe words to be. The reason why I have a bit of an issue with what I feel is the overuse of the word balance is because when I think of balance, and anytime balance has been taught to me, I see the circle, the wheels, the different spokes, kind of like a pie chart. And balance is like getting every area of those to be kind of just right, And that sounds good, right? It sounds good. You want balance. With work-life balance, it's like you don't want work leaking over into home. You don't want things bleeding into each other. You want it to be balanced. But let me tell you what I think of when I think of balance. When I think of balance, I think of Simone Biles. Okay. I think of Simone Biles up on that balance beam that's like 4 inches, and she's hanging on for dear life. Her toes are like gripping that thing. I've heard her talk in interviews about the idea of being up on the balance beam and what she has to do to fight to stay up there sometimes. And that is not how I want to live my life. I do not want to live my life fighting for dear life, trying to hang on to these appointments, trying to make sure all my ducks are in a row, constantly having everything together. To me, when I hear people say, I'm looking for balance in my life, that is what I feel. Now, I don't know always if that's what the person means, but that's what I feel. And so I have kind of been trying to shift away a little bit from the word balance in talking about life and how we live our lives and leaning more into the word alignment. So what does alignment mean to me? Alignment is about making sure that for the season of life that you're in, you are addressing the thing that needs your attention, right? You are addressing the thing. So for a mom who's had a baby, in that season of life after that baby is born, that baby gets her attention, right? And it may look to other people like her life is out of balance. It may look like it, but her life is in alignment because she is giving that baby what that baby needs and hopefully giving herself rest as she recovers from delivering that baby. She and that baby are kind of in their little cocoon together and in the house and not doing too much, outside. She might miss some social events or whatever it looks like in each particular woman's life. But the point is that she's not out of balance because she's taking care of that baby. So here's an example from my own life. Back in 10, I got word that my father's brain cancer had returned. For those of you that don't know the story, my father was diagnosed the first time with brain cancer when I was 8 years old, told he had 6 months to live. He ended up living much longer than that. He did not pass away until I was about 33 years old in 2011. But in 2010 is when the diagnosis came of its back. At that time, them saying that there was nothing that they could do for my father, they've done everything, and the place where this brain tumor was inoperable. My world shifted. I was not able to hold the same connections that I had been previously because of this thing that's going on in my personal life. To many, it may have felt like I had changed or what's wrong with me? It seems out of balance. But, and I mentioned this yesterday when I was talking about how sometimes when we are in crisis situations or, just really desperate situations where things are tight and tense, sometimes it can be challenging and almost impossible to do some of the things that I'm teaching you to do during this week. Now, the breath we can probably do at any point in time. That's a great one for any season. But during this time when my father's diagnosis had come back, I had a friend send me an email to say that I had changed and that was trying to ask what was wrong with me. And I'm thinking, my father is dying. I am going to change right now because I'm addressing the need that is in front of me. My emotional need, but also the need of my family for me to step up and help out. And so what I want us to think about and bringing this back to alignment is when you think of alignment in your own life, I want you to think of your life in seasons. There are different seasons of our lives. There's, especially moms, you know this for sure. Like there's the season of when your baby is an infant. And then all of a sudden things change when they're a toddler. And then they're in elementary school and things change. That child needs different things at different times, and we have to adjust. Same with our lives. When we have certain relationships, we have our spiritual life, we have our professional life, we have our physical body, all of these things that we say we want balance in. We want work-life balance, all of these things. And to me, that the word balance, I'm not saying this is what the word means. I'm saying this is the feeling that it gives me, is that everything has to be just so and lined up perfectly. When in reality, that's impossible. And it gives me that feeling of like, Simone up on the balance beam. I don't want that feeling. I want to go through life in alignment. The only way to know whether you are in alignment with where you're supposed to be at that particular time in life is for you to pause. You've got to institute the pause. Today we're talking about stillness. We've got to learn to be still. We've got to learn to be still. In the stillness is when his voice and his direction is the loudest for us. In the stillness is when you are able to recognize and become so aware of your own heart desires. In the stillness is when you are able to recognize in the relationships around you what is serving you, what is not serving you. In the stillness is when you're able to really determine whether you're saying yes to too many things that you're not supposed to be saying yes to, and whether you're saying no when you shouldn't be saying no. Because we do often talk about stop saying yes to so many things. You need to clear your plate. You need to, create space. And yes, I've been saying that, right? Every day I've said that in the pause. If you follow me on social media, you hear me talking about clearing space, creating space in your life, stop saying yes to everything. Say no to some things. But I want you to also understand that you are a woman of purpose. You are a woman of destiny. You are a woman who was created here to leave your mark on the earth. Now, how that looks for you, I don't know. That's something that you have to determine in your pause, right? You have to determine that in your pause between you and the one who created you. We have to be able to recognize that sometimes we're saying no when we should be saying yes. Yes to the call. Yes to the vision. Yes to that thing that keeps you up at night that you're supposed to be moving into. Yes to that business that you're supposed to start. Yes to that creative gift that you have, right? Yes to reaching out to that person that you're supposed to reach out to. Yes, yes, there are some things that need to be yeses, but you know what? We're saying yes to some of the wrong things. We're saying yes to things that distract us. We're saying yes to things that we feel obligated to say yes to. And it creates a marginless life when we do that. Now, again, there are seasons, right? There are seasons of life. Sometimes our margins might look a little bit smaller than at other times, and that is okay. But if you're not pausing on a regular basis, how will you know when it's time to shift? And this is what I want to leave you with today. I want you to walk in complete and total alignment with the season of life that you're in. And the only way to do that is to begin practicing stillness that connects you to divine wisdom. Stillness is something that can feel so uncomfortable because there's nothing about our world, our culture, our society that is still, right? There's nothing. We receive so much information on a daily basis. We are consumers of information. I'm not telling you to not consume information, but what I am telling you is that we need to get in check the type of information that we are consuming, the amount of information that we are consuming, how it impacts us in our spirit, mind, and body. So today, I want you to do a check. I want you to analyze yourself. I want you to analyze how you spend your time, what you are watching, what you're allowing into your mind, your eyes, your ears, what you're listening to, what you're allowing into your heart. I want you to analyze that. And if you sense God speaking to you and saying some adjustments need to be made, I want you to go back to day one and remember what pausing requires: bravery, intention, surrender. Go back to that list and know that you can do it and that there's a purpose in the pause, right? There's a purpose in the pause. The pause helps align us properly. It helps position us for purpose. It helps position us for the cry of our hearts, for the thing that we desire. I can't tell you how many women I have spoken to over 40 who have lived life, full lives, but they can't tell you what brings them joy right now. They can't tell you what they want to do with the next season of their life. Why? Because their lives have been full of focus in other places, not themselves. Now, I'm not saying that there shouldn't have done that, right? Because we just talked about alignment. A lot of these are moms who have poured their heart and soul into raising their children, who have poured their love into their spouse. And now kids are growing up, kids are gone, and they are there left to figure out what this next season of life looks like. There are people that I have coached whose marriages have dissolved or spouses have passed on, and they're in a state of grief and sadness over those losses. Rightfully so, right? Definitely times like that when you need to pause. Often what we do is we keep rushing and moving and moving and moving and moving. Why? Because it numbs the pain. It causes us not to have to think about the uncomfortable spaces. And that is what I am inviting you to shift this week. Okay. So what we are going to do now is a pause of stillness. That's what today is. It's a pause of stillness. It may feel uncomfortable to you, but I'm going to have you lean into stillness. We're going to sit here in stillness and we're going to do it for 2 minutes. And I know that that seems like a long time. I really do know that. But this is something that I want you to practice, even if it feels uncomfortable. There's no real agenda. It's just allowing stillness and silence. We're going to talk about music later, but in this particular pause, I'm encouraging no music, just silence. 2 minutes. Okay. Before we go into that, I want to take us back to what we spoke about yesterday. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. After that, he restores my soul. So as we sit in stillness, may your souls be restored. 2 minutes. Ladies, enjoy some stillness. Find ways to create space for moments of quiet. So much can happen in the stillness. I will see you again tomorrow on day 4.